So you want to end your lease. If you're an Indiana landlord, that can mean sending your tenant a lease termination letter. But if you're going to do that, you have to make sure it includes all the details required to meet your legal obligations. In this video, we're going to cover everything that Indiana landlords need to know about sending a lease termination letter to a tenant. Whether you're trying to end a lease prematurely or just don't want to renew it, keep watching to find out the best way to proceed. Welcome back, Loopers. It's Mohammed Abu-Ghosh with DoorLoop. The first thing I want to cover is the difference between a notice to vacate and a notice to quit. These are pretty similar, but there are different times to use them that you should be aware of. For example, if you just want a tenant to leave the premises through no fault of their own, you should issue a notice to vacate. These are most commonly used when nearing the end of the lease agreement and you just don't want to renew the lease with the tenant. But in the case where a tenant has broken their lease agreement, then you would issue a notice to quit. This is the beginning of the eviction process. If you send one of those forms to a tenant, you may end up having to defend that action in court, so keep that in mind. With that said, it's really important to keep your ducks in a row before you proceed. So those are the two main types of lease termination letters that you can send to a tenant. Once you decide which is right for you, the next step is to begin thinking about a proper notice. In Indiana, landlords have to give tenants at least 30 days notice when sending the termination letter. And remember, this countdown starts the date you send the letter, not when it's received or read by the tenant. So for example, if you send a termination notice on the 1st of August, the tenant won't have to move out until the 31st of August. Now, it is true that in some states, there are differences in the notice requirements for annual and month-to-month tenancies, but that's not the case in Indiana. All leases require the same 30-day notice for termination letters. You may also be wondering if a termination date can occur before the original lease agreement's end date. The answer is yes, it can. But remember, you do need a valid reason for ending the lease early, such as a violation of a core term of the original lease agreement. Even if you have a valid reason, you may still need to provide the standard 30-day notice to the tenant. But there are a few valid legal reasons in Indiana for not providing the notice, including both parties agreeing to a specific rental period and end date in the original lease, a tenant intentionally damaging your property, a tenant not paying rent, or a tenant remaining in the property even after the lease period ends. You may also want to familiarize yourself with what comes after sending a lease termination letter in Indiana. In the state of Indiana, that's pretty straightforward. The only major requirement for landlords is that they need to return the tenant's security deposit within 45 days of their vacating of the property. You can use some of it to repair any damages that the tenant caused, but any remaining balances must be sent to them within 45 days. Now, looking at the tenant side of things, all they typically need to do is give you a forwarding address that you can send their security deposit when the time comes. And that's basically all the state requires. Now, you may also want to take additional action after sending a lease termination letter, but there's no legal requirement for doing so. All right, so we've covered enough about letters of termination in Indiana that you should be ready to start thinking about sending one. But just for good measure, I'm going to walk you through that process from the beginning right now. And first things first, your best bet is to send that letter of termination through traditional certified mail or direct delivery to the tenant. Direct delivery is often preferred because it gives you the chance to verify that the tenant has received the letter, although you can also just post it to their front door if you've been struggling to get a hold of them. Another thing you should be aware of here is that you only need to send one letter, even if there are multiple tenants living in the property. To recap, your legal requirement is to serve the notice to the primary tenant. That's it. If they don't share the notice with the other people living on the property, that will be on them and not you as the landlord. So all that's really left to do now is make sure that you include all the necessary details in the lease termination letter. These can actually be pretty lean and simple, but here's what you need to include: the termination date, your reason for the lease termination, the name of the tenants who are subject to the letter, the consequences that the tenant will face if they don't leave the property by the indicated date, and the date that you have served the document to the tenant. If you include all this in your lease termination letter, Indiana courts should be happy with the documents and you shouldn't be facing any issues anytime soon. But remember that you should take what we're saying here with a grain of salt and always contact a lawyer for more information on your specific case. Now, if you want to simplify the process of creating and sending an Indiana lease termination letter, consider starting with a template. These can save you from having to write the letter from scratch and will help you to ensure that you don't miss any key details. We'll include a link to a PDF template for Indiana lease terminations in the video description so you can get started. It can also be helpful to have the tenant sign the lease termination letter, as doing so will help you avoid potential legal issues in the future. And you're in luck, because DoorLoop can help you with all of that. Our all-in-one property management software solution can help you create, share, and sign a variety of lease documents documents, including letters of lease termination. Aside from that, it can also help you find better tenants in the future by assisting you with various marketing tasks and listings. If you're interested to learn more, you can go to DoorLoop.com and sign up for a free demo to check it out for yourself. But with all that said, we hope you found this video helpful. Don't forget to like and subscribe to see more videos just like this, and check out this video for more property management related tips. We'll see you next time.